Hi, I'm Becky, my channel's What Beck Sews. Welcome back if you're a subscriber and welcome if you're new. Today's vlog is about 5 blouse patterns that I want to share with you. Now, 4 of these blouse patterns I have made before and one is very much one that I want to make. I am doing this vlog because this month it is the challenge that is being run by the lovely, we're starting this well, the lovely Gabrielle from Cloth Edit and her co-host Ruan, who is the Yorkshire Sew Girl, who is a glutton for punishment because she's already just finished running one challenge. So it's all about Sew April Blouse. Now, Sew April Blouse is simply to make up a blouse during the month of April and post it over on Instagram. And you can post it at any point, there is no reveal date. The definition of a blouse, Gabrielle has a fantastic post all about this where she talks about the more feminine characteristics of a shirt and the difference between the two. And you know, the nice little things that we have, the pin tucks, the pleats, the gathers, that bring those feminine details out in a blouse. But there is a whole description that goes into a lot more detail than I have just stipulated as to what constitutes as a blouse. So go over and check that out. I will leave that link below if you are struggling with that definition. So I thought I would share with you some blouses that I've made in the past. There is one particular one that I've made several of, and I am a massive fan of, and I've made it in lots of different fabrics. I have dug the majority out apart from the one that's in the wash to share with you so you can see the variations on the fabric. So we'll start with that one first, and of course the one I am talking about is the Tilly and the Buttons Marnie Blouse. Now this is a massive favourite of mine. I have made it a number of times now. I think the first time I made it last year I made the dress version, hadn't got the fit right at all on it. That one is no longer in function in my wardrobe, but once I nailed the fit, it was like a revelation. This goes with jeans, it goes with work attire. I can dress it down, I can dress it up, I can wear it out. It can be a real statement piece depending on the fabric choice. I just love this, and the sleeves are amazing. So Tilly and the Buttons patterns, I fall typically into a size 6 or 7. Definitely 7 for bottoms, 6 mainly for tops, and a combination of the 2 for dresses. However, this is a very oversized pattern and it has a lot of ease in it. So I have actually made up a straight size 4 that fits me perfectly, but bear with me guys, because I do have a lot narrower area across here and across the shoulders. So my high bust, that's the measurement there, your high bust, and my shoulders are quite narrow. So I do, or I have started, recently learned that I need to grade out. So I tend to go smaller, then grade out to the size underneath the arm, and then down into whatever sizes I am from there downwards. With Tilly and the Buttons, with all of her patterns, I have worked out that the size 4 across the shoulders fits me. Grading out normally to between a 5 and a 6, depending on what the pattern is, works really well. So let me start with some of my makes here. Now, the one that I haven't got with me is one made out of double gauze. Now, what I will say is there are lots of elements to this blouse. You can have them with a frill on the side, you can have pin tucks, you can have it with a ruffle on the neckline, you can have it completely scaled back with no pin tucks, no frill, no ruffle, or you can choose to add a ruffle, or you can just choose to add the frill, or you can just choose to add the pin tucks. There is a lot of variation in how to make this different. Now, personally, I prefer the scaled back version. I'm not a big fan of frills on my shoulders. I feel like I want to try this again at some point, but for some reason I don't like anything that makes my shoulders look wider. So all of the versions you'll see here are scaled back. The only thing, or the detailing that I have included in the majority of them, is the ruffle around the neck. So I made my first version that fit me properly was made in a double gauze fabric. It was this gorgeous leopard print double gauze. Now the colour's very subtle for me. If it wasn't for the animal print, I'd probably say this doesn't suit me. However, this has been one of my most worn items in my wardrobe because double gauze is perfect for both the winter, for keeping you warm, and for the summer months, it keeps you nice and cool. It's just a really nice fabric to wear. So I'll pop in a picture here of that one because I don't have that with me. But you can see it is just a plain version with a ruffle neck. It's got a bit more structure. It's got less drape than a chalet, but it looks absolutely fantastic. And I love it, and it goes great with a pair of jeans. This one I would probably say I pair more with jeans than I do anything else. Then I went on to make this one. And this is made in a viscose chalet. Now, this was from Pound Fabrics. It's a very delicate, very feminine, almost Victorian style blouse. This fabric is still at Pound Fabrics. If I can find it, I will link it down below, but it was in the sales last time I saw it. And it has this gold lurex running through it with these lovely little blue dainty flowers. Now, both of these are my colours, which is why I think I'm able to get away with something so pretty, but it is very feminine, and I'm not the most feminine person in the world, but I do love it. Again, you've got these gorgeous sleeves that are just fantastic, that gather into this lovely elasticated cuff. I've put the frill on this. Now, I do recall that I made the frill slightly bigger because I really wanted that Victorian style look. You've got a bias bound enclosure inside just to enclose all those seams and get that ruffled stand up really nicely. I have gone and dug this out of my summer bag, which is why it's all wrinkled, so apologies about that. The other thing I should say, the Marnie Blouse has like a dipped front. So on this one, I've left it on there so you can see. Now, I don't know whether this is to allow for your bust, I'm not quite sure, but you can see here that the front hangs lower and the back's nice and straight. So what I've done on all my other versions is actually cut that straight, just to, it makes me feel better. It drives me around the bend that you've got that bit slightly longer at the front, because I find it sits slightly longer at the front as well. So that's the first Marnie blouse, the first viscose chalet Marnie blouse that I got made up. The next viscose chalet blouse that I made up, I do like this because the viscose chalet does provide a lovely drape. This one was definitely more of a statement piece. You can see here, this is the Fabric Godmother Mountain Accents fabric. Now, I know that this isn't available anymore. I very carefully placed my yoke. So you've got this front yoke at the top, and you can see I've kind of centered it around an actual picture that takes from this part here. I was very clever with my pattern placement, unlike a blouse I'm going to show you in a minute. You've got the sleeves here. Now, the sleeves are slightly shorter on this because I didn't have as much fabric, but that's fine. I like to do this with my sleeves all the time. And again, I've gone for the ruffle. You've got your lovely button loop at the back with your button. It's just one of my Jazz and Wow buttons. And yeah, I just think this is great. This is one that I do wear quite a lot for work, but I like pairing this quite a lot with jeans as well, and wearing this out on sort of casual day to day. I do often struggle to differentiate my wardrobe. I have like not differentiate my wardrobe. I often struggle if it's something I wear to work. I don't want to wear it out in public. Does that make sense? Because it feels like I'm in work attire. I have a couple of dresses that I absolutely love, but I feel they're very work related. And I spend a lot of time in the office and a lot of time out on site, a lot of time in colleges, talking to people, and in schools talking to people. So dressing smartly is something that I have to do quite regularly. But with this one, I do feel it's versatile enough that I can wear it outside of work as well as in work. So the final blouse I've got to show you, which is a Marnie blouse, is a statement piece. So this is a much more structured one. This is my cotton version. So cotton is a much more structured fabric, therefore you get, there's no drape to this. It literally sits on your body, and if it wasn't for the print, I'd feel like I was wearing a bit of a tent. But because this has got this gorgeous red print on it, so this is on a pink background and it's got this gorgeous sort of red pops of these flowers, I feel like it's a piece that you want to wear. Now, I'll pair this with skinny jeans and I feel like I'm going out and making a statement, so I don't mind the fact that this is structured. I did leave off the frill on the neck. It was a pure accident that I left the frill on the neck. I was getting a bit so happy as I was sewing along and forgot to put it in because I had cut it out, because I do like the frill. I've got one of my Jazz and Wow pink and red buttons on the back. I love these pink and red buttons and I feel like it goes perfectly with this fabric. And yeah, this is just a real statement piece. Now I will pop a picture in here so you can actually see what that looks like. But I do love that. Again, that gets a lot of wear. I don't think there's any of my Marnies that don't get the wear. There's at least one worn every week. They are in constant rotation. So that's Tilly and the Buttons Marnie blouse. Let's talk about a hack, which is another Tilly and the Buttons pattern. So this is theoretically a shirt pattern. However, if you look at the definition of what a blouse is, and it talks about a shirt having more masculine features, and blouses bringing in things like gathers, pleats, pin tucks, just to give it that kind of more feminine feel to it. I have taken the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra shirt dress and turned that into what I would define as a blouse. Now, I've chosen this to show you because A, I've made it, but B, most of the Tilly patterns do tend to be quite popular in a lot of people's pattern stash. I'm not saying that everybody will have this, but if you do, it means that you may not have to go and buy another one if you want to make it, because the changes I've made are very, very simple. So this is the pattern here. Now, remember I was talking to you about one where my pattern placement is really precarious. I absolutely love the fabric of this. Pink, orange and green. I mean, they're just my colours. What more could you ask for? However, you have two orange splodges. When this is on, and I will pop a picture in a minute, it's in a really awkward place. I literally look like I've got nipples on my nipples. So yeah, it was a disaster from that perspective, and I don't wear it as a result of it. However, I do want to make another version of this because I love it and I really like the shape it gives on my body. So how I would say this differs from a shirt is the little feminine touch. Like, I have taken this bottom, I've almost added what you class a peplum, because it definitely gives that kind of more flowy nature to it, and I've gathered it all in to the sides but kept the button placket there. So on the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra Dress pattern, you've got the shirt which comes to about here, and then you start adding your tiers on for the dress. So all I've done is I've taken the shorter tier and I've shaved a little bit off the length because that's how I've chosen to do it. And I have cut two and then cut one in half for the front, but kept the back one in its full entirety. I've then gathered, I've sewn these together as you would with the skirt. I have gathered them in. So the back is all gathered in, and then you've got the one front half gathered in here, one front half gathered in there. I took the button placket and I measured down and cut out. So I added this bit onto the bottom of this on the pattern piece, and then I just measured out how long I'd want my placket to be. So that was still kept as one, and it's just gathered in, and it's attached the same way on the inside as you attach it all the way up here. So you can see there, so there's no difference in the placket itself. I have not put the collar on. I have literally used the two under collars and made sort of like a mandarin style collar there. Again, I feel that that just gives it a completely different look, and I don't think this looks anything like the Tilly and the Buttons shirt dress. So it's just a hack that you can do. You've still got the same elasticated sleeves here. I did use a thicker elastic at the bottom. I just felt that that was nicer, but you know, to keep it delicate, you could use a much smaller one. And I love this. I absolutely love this. I love the label that I've put in it as well, which is why I'm gutted I can't wear this. Now, if I was flatter chested, if I didn't have as big a boobs as I do, I probably wouldn't have the problem with where these are sitting. They would sit a little bit perkier, and I could just about get away with having it. I'll pop the pictures in. You can have a giggle to yourself about the pattern placement. But I absolutely love the colours. I love the way I feel in them. It's just those two orange nipples as to why I can't wear it. So that's the second blouse pattern. We're 15 minutes in and we're only on 2, and we've got 5 to go through. So another pattern that I have made, now I've made 2 of these. I've got one that's still in rotation and one that is somewhere in a pile to be adapted at some point because it's far too big for me now. So this is a very popular pattern. It's the Friday Pattern Company Patina Blouse. Again, you've got that beautiful neckline that comes down and it's quite a boxy style, but you can bring it in a little bit to give it a little bit more shape. And then you've got the plackets on the arms. Now I have changed my versions. So the first one I made was a short sleeve version. I chose the lower neckline on both because I quite like an open neck. That particular one was made in a cotton poplin, which I did feel, considering how boxy the pattern was, it needed to be tucked in with what I was wearing. But I always got lots of compliments on that particular shirt because of the bold, bright pattern. So there'll be a picture in here. Obviously I don't have that one to hand, but there'll be a picture in here for you to look at. So that's a short sleeve one. The next one I made last year, and it's out of a much drapier fabric. This is a fabric I got off Crystal from my Social Threads D-stash. I think she got it from Fabric Godmother. When I saw it, Brogan, who was on the Sewing Bee that particular year, had made a Bakerloo dress, and I absolutely had to have this fabric. So this is it here. This is this version, and I have gone for a longer sleeve. Now, because I've mentioned this, I like to push my sleeves up. I'm the same with a shirt or a blouse anyway, so I don't like a placket down the bottom. So I've removed that and just put elastic in, because I can then put my sleeves up whenever I like. And I think I made this a little bit wider just to get that kind of blousey type drape that I love. Blousey might not be the right way of describing that. I've gone for the lower neckline, and I just think that this sits lovely. Now, one thing I must remember to do when I make this pattern again, and I would like to make this pattern again, would be to lengthen the bodice slightly, because I do find where it sits, it's just that little bit too short. I have what I call a tie ring that sits around my belly, and I just like to either tuck it in to give it a little bit of shape where it then drapes over the side. So like I've got this top here, I like to just tuck it in and then allow it to drape, or I like to have it fully tucked in or dropped out, and it's just a little bit too short to be able to do that. I'll pop an old picture that I've got of me in this so you can see what it looks like. I do absolutely love this shirt, blouse, it's not a shirt, this blouse. It gets worn in rotation in my wardrobe. It's a very work-based one. I don't wear this anywhere else other than work. I'd love to have a sort of abstract, geometrical, vibrant print version of that I could wear outside of work with a pair of jeans. I think that would look lovely. Maybe one for the summer holidays coming in, short sleeved. That would be fantastic. So the fourth pattern I want to talk to you about is one that I don't have anymore. It's not even in rotation in my wardrobe. Now, I'm not entirely sure that this particular blouse I have a picture of, but I do have a picture of the dress. This again is another popular pattern. It's really beginner friendly. It's the Anna Allen Anthea Blouse. I managed to say that in one go. I am quite impressed. I always get the Anna Allen and Anthea mixed up. So the Anthea Blouse has these gorgeous poofy sleeves. Now, I don't like poofy sleeves in cotton. Don't like it in a structured fabric. I'm just going to say that now. This has to be made in a viscose for me. I made the dress originally. Again, this was one of my first makes. One of the first times I made it a couple of years back. It was too big for me. I will pop a picture in here of that, but that is the dress version. I then went on from there to make another version out of a gorgeous green viscose fabric, and it was just a little bit too short in the bodice, and I was having the same problem, but even more so because it was slightly shorter, that I have with my Patina blouse. So I really, really want to make this one again, and this is one of the ones that I would like to make through Sew April Blouse, or for Sew April Blouse, and I'd like to make it in a very pretty feminine fabric for me. And it's this gorgeous fabric from Bornella Fabrics that I got at the Stitch Festival. So I think this, I've got 2.5 meters of this, and if I lengthen the bodice just slightly, I think this will work beautifully. Now, it has got a gorgeous curved hemline to it, so I just think that this will work. I've got some lovely Jazz and Well buttons that are coming onto the shop at the weekend, and they've got this kind of purpley drop colour in them, and I think they'll go really well with this as well. So I think that is one of the plans that I am going to have to make up through the month of April. Now, what I will say is I am going to need to get the pattern reprinted. When I made my last version, I had cut it back to a size 10 because I'm a cutter and not a tracer, but that's why I like PDF patterns, because I can just reprint. Which fit me perfectly across the shoulders, but probably was just a tiny bit snug here, but it is a very oversized pattern. So I think what I'm going to do is make a straight size 12 for me. Now I've put on a little bit of weight since I made the last one, and I need to get the pattern reprinted just to enable me to be able to cut it out in the right size. So I am going to do that, as well as order my next pattern that I want to make. So this pattern is completely and utterly at the fault of the lovely Rachel from Stitched Up. So Rachel has recently shared in a few vlogs, and actually when I first met Rachel in person, it was at So Toon in December, and she was wearing this particular blouse. This is the Lyra Blouse by, I want to say, Atelier Jupe or Atelier Brunette, one or t'other. It is one of those. I think it's the Atelier Jupe. And I absolutely love this. The gathering detail is stunning. Now, I must admit, the one that really sold it to me was probably the fabric that Rachel had made this in. And this was in this gorgeous, vibrant red and pink fabric. I think it was red and pink. But I just remember staring at it and being so in awe of that particular blouse because of that particular fabric that I really want to make this. So this is one that I'd like to get made up for this challenge. I've not made it. I've watched her review on it, and it does look like a fairly straightforward make that you can hide any mistakes within that gathering detail. So I do have a fabric for it, and it's this fabric here. So this was a fabric that I got from Birmingham Rag Market. Now it is kind of like a polyester, but I think because it's a oversized blouse, it would be perfect. And it is slightly sheer, but it's not too sheer. I could get away with wearing this without putting a top on underneath it. But I just love the bold print on this. And I think having that beautiful sort of gathering on the arm in that would just look spectacular. I'm hoping you can see that detail. The light's fading outside now. So I do think this would be perfect. I have got 4 meters of this fabric, and if I remember what Rachel said, it was quite a fabric hungry piece of fabric. So I'm going to order this pattern this week because it's not a pattern that I own. And yeah, make that up. I mean, that if I can get that ordered and printed, maybe when I'm in the office. If not, send it off to Fabuloso for printing. I might send it off to Fabuloso for printing, depends on how many pages it is. That would be great because I'd like to get on with this next weekend. And next weekend I don't really have many plans. I've got no socials to go to. I'm not seeing any of my social friends. It's just going to be a weekend where we do have the kids here. And although it's a kids' weekend, because Scott will be travelling to take his daughter back to Sheffield to university, it'll only be one of his here. And it's Easter holidays, so the kids will probably be off staying with friends as a way to get out of the house. So perfect for me. So they're my 5 blouses. I have made 4, and I can wholeheartedly recommend the 4 that I have made. All of the blouses I've chosen, I think they're fairly beginner friendly. They do have some interesting techniques to them, but the instructions with them hold your hand. So if you are somebody with a little bit of experience behind you, you may still consider yourself a beginner. They are definitely worth a sew. There is sew-alongs for the Marnie. I think the lovely Brogan from the Sewing Bee did a sew-along for that one. The Friday Pattern Company Patina Blouse, there's definitely a sew-along on there because Chelsea always does a sew-along for hers. The Anthea Blouse by Anna Allen. There are YouTubers that have kind of done sew-alongs, I think, out there. So if you do get into any trouble, you can always go off and have a look. Now, the Lyra Blouse and obviously my hack, there are not sew-alongs for that. But I'm hoping that the information that I've given you on the hack has helped. If there is something that you are interested in doing, you can always drop me a message over on Instagram, which is What Beck Sews, and I will be more than happy to try and help you through it as well. If it's an idea that you think you'd like to do or try, I will definitely try and help you where I can. So just drop me a message on Instagram, and I may not come back to you straight away. I'm not always at my phone, but as soon as I am, I will get back to you and tell you how to do it. So let me know what you think of the patterns that I've shared today, if you're going to be making any of them, if you're going to be taking part in Sew April Blouse. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch me today. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed and you want to see more content from me. And I cannot wait to see all of the blouses going up under the hashtag Sew April Blouse 24 on Instagram. Now, take care. Don't forget, there will be other vloggers posting about the blouses, so just keep an eye out for them. Have a great week, and I'll catch you all soon. Happy sewing. Bye.